Okay, so let's talk about movement. Now, there are a whole bunch of different ways for you to control your sprite. Way too many for us to cover actually, but for the sake of this video, let's pretend you want to go the classic route and just use the arrow keys. Up makes you move up, down makes you move down, left goes left, right goes right, you get the idea. There are two ways we can do this. The first is pretty straightforward. Just take the when key pressed event hat block and set the key to up arrow. Then take the point in direction motion block, set it to up as well, and stick it under the event block. Then take a move 10 steps and place it under the point in direction. Now, if you press the up arrow key, the sprite will move upwards. Duplicate this 3 more times, adjusting the settings for each key. By the time you're done, you'll have a sprite that moves around the screen according to the arrow keys. Now, there are a couple issues with this method. The sprite tends to take a second to get started, and it doesn't really allow you to move at an angle. If you feel like being lazy, this method will work just fine, but if not, then we can do better. Here's a smoother, more efficient way to get your sprite to follow the arrow keys. First off, forget about those when key pressed hat blocks. We don't need those. We're going to be starting with a good old-fashioned when flag pressed hat block, and we only need one of them. To start, take a forever loop and stick it under the hat block, then push those to the side. We're going to need them later. Take an if-then block and put a when key pressed sensing block inside its little diamond space. Then, fill the if-then block with the same thing we put under the key press hat block in the first method. Point in direction and move 10 steps. Set the arrow key in direction so they match up. Duplicate this so that you have 4 versions of the code and match up the keys and directions. Click them all together and stick them inside your forever loop from earlier. What you have now works much more smoothly than what you had before, it's far more efficient in terms of code, and it allows your sprites to move on a diagonal. This is actually really easy to see if we run the 2 versions of the code side by side. If your sprite is actually moving too fast for you now, you can always just lower the number inside of the move 10 steps. Have fun!
Byte-Sized is written/recorded by Chris Dunn and produced by Ursula Wolves, with curriculum consulting by Dan Taylor.